First of all, the one you're going to be more familiar with is going to be when you get a credit card statement. So when they're charging you a finance charge as part of your monthly credit card bill, and there were a couple processes that we used to multiply and get this. So the first one, I just want to write down the formula with you. This is going to be all these different little boxes from the statement. It's where we take the previous balance and we add the new purchases, and that sometimes is called transactions, depends on your statements. And then we take off a payment. So we've got to take the previous balance, we've got to add the new purchases you might have made, and we've got to take off a payment. That gives us now the starting number. And then we multiply that by the interest rate monthly, so we can get a monthly finance charge. Okay, so we're going to use this later in a question. Now let's look at an example. Letty does not pay her credit card bill in full, so she incurs a finance charge. Her last credit statement, this gives you two things. It tells us that the average daily balance is this, and it tells us that the monthly periodic rate is this. And so knowing that in financial algebra, we are either adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing something, we're like, I probably just multiply these. And that's the case. Another way that we calculate finance charge is just to multiply average daily balance times the monthly periodic rate. So I'm over to, Kelton, you just walked back in, so I'm going to skip you for just a sec. And that means I'm at Miguel. Miguel, can you do this for us on your calculator? What would that average daily balance be times, and remember, we always convert this to a little decimal, 0.0185. What's our average daily balance times that MPR going to give us? And it should be a small number if you've done it correct. Perfect. And I like that you rounded. It went 8.4175. And so we round that to 8.42. Love it. Now, why is it such a small number? Because it's a small balance. It's only $455 on your credit card. And so that's why it's going to come out to a small number. So if you get a question that says the average daily balance and that little rate, you just multiply it. And it's a way to check on your credit card that you are getting the right finance charge applied to you. Now, I'm moving over to Roberto. Roberto, we're on number 3. How did we calculate an MPR before? You know, if they give us an APR, an annual, how do we convert to monthly? So converting anything to monthly means we're going to divide by what, Roberto? Yeah. All right. So what do I divide by? 12? I divide my annual rate. Can you be our calculator? Divide the annual rate of 19.8 divided by 12 and tell us what you get for the monthly periodic rate. Yep. When is your MPR going to be higher? When your annual percentage rate is higher. So if on the statement it tells you the APR and it tells you the MPR and you're like, how did they get those two? It's just taking one and dividing it by 12 to convert annual to monthly. All right, finally, Kelton, I am going to jump back to you. Maria wants to purchase a boat that costs $57.50, and she signs an installment agreement requiring 25% down. Do you remember how we get 25% down? Like, how do we get a down payment of something? Is it adding, dividing, multiplying, or subtracting? It is multiplying. Good switch over. Anytime we say percent, you guys, percent means multiply. We learned that back in Math 1 with percent multipliers. When I want a percent of something, it means to multiply. So we're going to go 25% of, what was the amount of the boat, Kelton? Good. So go ahead and do that calculation for us. What would 25% of the 5750 give us?
Wait, just 25 times
0.25 times that. Yep. Literally, you're at Fun Bike Center and you're like, man, I want this dirt bike. And you're like, 10% down. You guys are going to be like on your phones, 10% up. That's what I want you doing with this someday. Okay, go, Kelton.
1,437.
And we're like, blah, blah, blah. Because how much do I have saved? How much does it say I have saved right here?
Oh, 1,500.
Do I have enough?
Yeah.
I have enough. So that's the question they're asking you that you're going to be asking yourself someday. Do I have enough? And let's say you really want that boat and you don't have enough. Could you negotiate with the person? Could you say, hey, would you take 15% down or would you take 20% down? I don't quite have 25. And what do, guys? You walk away. You walk away out of that dealership. You just walk away because they always come down. They always come down. And you're like, but someone might buy my boat or my car. I'm telling you, it's probably not going to happen. Yeah, you're right. But you can save a lot of money just walking away. And then they call you. And that's hard because you want it right then, right? You want it right then. Okay, moving down. And by the way, why I said blah, blah, blah is because whatever the cents were, I'm just looking, do I have enough money? I had the 1,500 saved. I need 1,437 and something, so I definitely had enough. Okay, Abel is buying a 1750 guitar. And by the way, I'm bumping forward now to Carla. So this time we want a guitar on an installment plan. He makes a down payment of $250 and he has to pay monthly payments for 2 years. What is the finance charge? So this is the other kind of finance charge we talked about. Well, it's still money that's costing me to borrow against, but this is the finance charge for an installment plan instead of the finance charge on my credit card statement. So this time, Carla, we're seeing how much did we pay for this bike? I mean, for this, I'm stuck on the dirt bike now. How much are we going to pay for this guitar? So first off, how much did we put as a down payment, Carla? $250. So what we want to calculate is we want to calculate the total paid for the guitar. And then we want to subtract the original price and see, like, how much did I really pay in interest for this? And that's my finance charge. Like, how much did it cost me to do this installment plan? Was it worth it to have the guitar for those 2 years? So I could play it the whole time while I was paying it. So the total paid, you just said, was $250 for the down payment. Plus, we're having to pay monthly payments, Carla. How much are those monthly payments? Yeah, sometimes I make you calculate those, but here they're just giving it to you. It's $74.52. And I'm doing that for 2 years. How many months is 2 years, Carla? How did she get 24, you guys? What did she multiply? She did the 2 years times 12 months to get that 24 months. What if on your final it says a 3-year installment? It's going to be 36 months. What if it's a 4-year installment? It's 48 months. You guys have to multiply that. Okay, so it's $74.52 for 24 months. Okay, we're going to have to multiply that in a second. And then going back to the original price of the guitar, Carla, do you see that we're going to be subtracting that $17.50 at the end? So PEMDAS, we're going to want to do this stuff first. We're going to do the multiply, then the add, then the subtract. Why in 7th grade do they teach us PEMDAS? Here it is right here, real life. You're buying a guitar, you're going to use it. So Carla, what was the $74.52 times 24? And how many cents? Or is it flat? 48, like that? Good. And then add 250 to that for us. Say it again. Uh-huh. No, to 1788. So start again. Okay, and then take that number and minus the 1750. So you're asking yourself, was it worth it to me to have this guitar for the whole 2 years? Did the guitar end up sitting in the corner of my room and I didn't even touch it? Man, I shouldn't have bought that. Or did I end up joining a band and making a whole bunch of money with that guitar? Or did I get like a new girlfriend or boyfriend because I played that new song for them? Then it was worth it. Was it worth that $288 to have it the whole time? If you think about how long it would have taken you to save the money for that and not have the guitar, this is why people do installment plans. But you have to be able to afford the payment. Can you afford that $74 a month is the big question. So remember that we got this $250. We got this $250 from right here. We got this $1750 from right here. We got this monthly payment from here, and the 24 months we had to calculate. Any questions on number 5 before we go to our last credit? And I'm going to be on Blanca. And what we just calculated there, everybody, is our finance charge. Okay, for the last credit card statement, there is a typo in the answers. We'll fix it at the end. You'll see which one is close enough. There will not be typos on the final. We've used the final multiple times, and there are not. Okay, so for this one, it says, use the summary section of the monthly credit card statement to calculate the finance charge. This is that thing from the beginning that we wrote down the formula. So let's write it down again here. This is where we take our previous balance plus any transactions that were made, like did I buy anything during that month, minus any payments that were made, because that now is gone, and then we multiply that whole thing by the interest rate. And remember, we want the monthly one. Okay, so this is the little formula we use to get that new balance and then to multiply it by the rate to see what our finance charge should be. And I'm at Blanca. Blanca, we're going to start just filling in things here after you're done writing. What is my previous balance from this little credit card statement? $750. You see it right there? Good. So we're going to start by doing $750. And then we're going to add the transactions. What do you see as our transactions on this statement? Good. Now, sometimes it says new purchases and sometimes it says transactions. That's the same thing. Things I bought during the month. Okay, so that 110 goes there. And then we're going to subtract off the payment that I made. What was the payment that I made here? It is. Now, even though the minimum payment was 40, I paid 70 because you know, after the credit card chapter, that if we just make a minimum payment, it takes forever to pay things off, right? So now, after I do that adding, that subtracting, I'm now going to multiply it by the rate. Let's say it's the final, and you're like, shoot, which rate was it? Was it this rate or was it this rate? Well, I said monthly, but if you forget that, multiply it by both and see which answer actually shows up. So it's your MPR, which is 0.0125. So take a minute to multiply that for us, Blanca, and then tell us what you get.
I got $9.88.
Good. So look how we're going to fix this, you guys. What? That was an 88 the whole time. Answer is D. Go ahead and change that 38 to an 88. Sorry about the typo. Okay, that ends the credit section. Does that help you remember those from way back in October when we did those for if they show up on the final?